Welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I am your host, Dr. Melissa Mann. Join me for conversations about possibilities and tools for having more joy, more play, and way more of you. What would it be like to wake up every day with a wild enthusiasm for living? Hello and welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Mann, and today I have my friend, my teacher, my mentor in EFT Tapping here with me today, Lori Lamont. Thank you so much for being here, Lori.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so grateful. And tapping is something that I found a really long time ago. And then this past, 6 months ago, got really into the idea of getting certified in it to really learn how to do it with clients as opposed to just doing it with myself. And Lori was my amazing trainer for the initial class, and I'm still collecting hours and receiving mentoring from Lori. So I'm so honored to have you on the podcast, and I love tapping. So I'm so curious from your perspective, first of all, if you can talk a little bit about what it is. And so people who've either never heard of it, or what I get a lot of is I've kind of heard a little bit, but I don't really know what it is what most people tell me. So just to give us like kind of a rundown, and then maybe kind of go from there. So I'll let you just kind of give an introduction of what is EFT tapping.
Yeah, absolutely. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And what it is we're actually tapping on meridian endpoints. And while we're tapping on those meridian endpoints, we're focusing on an issue. And what happens is we're sending a calming signal to the brain. We're addressing our nervous system, and we're also addressing whatever the emotions are that are present, that are, could be emotions, could be physical sensations, could be belief systems. I mean, we can kind of use tapping on just about anything. It's sort of like, what is that, like sriracha? You can put that on everything, right? Like EFT is kind of like that. They're really, I haven't found anything that really doesn't apply, which is sort of the problem, because people are like, well, if you can use it on everything, then it's hard to kind of quantify where would you use it. But, whether it's you're having anxious feelings, or any type of fears or phobias, or if you're just aware of lifelong patterns and behaviors that you would like to change. I mean, it's kind of really broad spectrum of where you can utilize it, but it's self-help. You can use it for yourself. It's, once you learn how to use it, you can regulate yourself in the moment. And I always say to my clients that it's a terrible business model, but my goal is for my clients to be self-sufficient. And like, once they really, and they just kind of come to us for the bigger things, and they can sort of help themselves in regular everyday life by utilizing that tool.
Yeah, I love that. That's so great. And, it's something I was actually saying to a client this week is, together we can work through some of these, traumas and sort of bigger things, but you can go take this home. Now you know how to do it. Yes. So, you can use it as different things are coming up, or even as we finish a session and there's maybe something that you're still kind of ruminating on, like to continue on your own. And there's so few therapies, treatments that are like that. So many things are dependent on the practitioner, where you need to come in and see that person, and it's a don't try this at home kind of thing, where this is quite the opposite of that. So that's really neat. You were talking about meridian points, and while this will go up on YouTube, it will be just audio everywhere else. So Can you explain a little bit, like when people are like, what is a meridian point? Like, what is that?
Sure. So meridians go back to Chinese medicine. So if you're familiar with acupuncture, and some people will think, oh, that's like some weird new age thing, but it's actually, been around for 5,000 years.
Not new.
It's kind of actually really accurate. There's a lot of science behind this. And so those meridians are moving through our body. They're moving our energy or our chi, or however you want to look at it. But by just simply tapping on it, so I'll just voice the point. So they're the top of the head, There's the inside of the eyebrow, the side of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, the chin. There's some points on the collarbone, and then we do under the arm. And it seems silly, right? That you could just sort of tap. So by holding those points or tapping on those points, what happens is we are actually able to move the energy through the body. We can move, and when we can do that, we're moving those emotions or sensations. It sounds kind of wacky, but it's sort of one of those things that once you do it, and you can feel the change in your body in just a matter of minutes. Like, oh, it's definitely a hands-on technique.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I had a client last night that we did it for the first time, and she was like, "Wow, I really like this. Like, I feel so much more relaxed around everything in my life." Like, she's like, "Next time, can we do it on this and this and this?" Because she got so excited about how much change she actually received in that hour. So I'm wondering for you, like, what are some of the primary things? And so I know you mentioned like it really can be for everything. Are there things that show up in your world the most? Are there certain,
Sure.
symptomology or things like that?
Yeah. So for me, in my world, I would say some of the main issues that I use tapping for with my clients are OCD is a big one. And in that case, the beauty of using tapping for OCD is in more mainstream models, you're kind of like fighting it. You're trying to overcome it. There's exposure therapy. There's all these things where we're like constantly sort of like combating it. And EFT comes at it from a, hey, why is it here? Type of a perspective with like let's maybe take a look at like why, what's going on. So OCD, I spent a number of years where I used tapping with people for weight loss, or less about weight loss and more about emotional eating or feeling comfortable in your skin type of because you can use it. Works really well for cravings. It works really well for things like habits, addictions, things like that, phobias, anything in that realm. And then now, what I generally use EFT for with people, certainly some people who are feeling anxious, things like that. But it's more my favorite topic is to really address the deeper spiritual soul purpose aspects, and helping people to get into alignment with their bigger purpose, and identifying those core issues that might be preventing them from really being in alignment with their highest self.
I
So
really love that. And it's so cool because it can span so many different ways. I mean, uh, I know it can be used as a trauma treatment. And so there's sort of from that
mhm.
aspect. And then, um, all the way through OCD, it's such a different perspective of getting really present with the energy that's showing up in somebody's world. And like, why is that OCD showing up? What is it showing them?
Mhm.
What can they move through and be present with instead of fighting against? But I also love that the higher purpose stuff, and that's one of the things I value a lot with, clients
Mhm.
and sessions is like, I'm not actually here to fix you.
Mhm.
It's about like, there's not actually anything wrong with you. It's like moving through all the blocks so that you can get to like your highest good for like what you're on the planet for, and it sounds like
Yes.
a lot of what you're doing is really aligned with that. So that's I didn't actually know that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because like OCD, anxiety, all of these diagnoses that we have, if you can find the trauma that started it, that then that and you can address those, like you're right, like EFT is so good at trauma processing, and really like that's kind of the crux of it, right? Like the reason we're not in alignment with our higher purpose, or the reason we're feeling that resistance, or we're experiencing these different bigger, I guess I'll say like adaptations, like the
Sure.
reason we're experiencing that is because there was likely not just one trauma, probably a whole bunch. And so when we can when we can process through that trauma and change the way that we're looking at the world, then kind of everything else falls into place.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I'm curious, what drew you to EFT tapping in the first place? Like, how did you get started?
I was very much in this spiritual evolutionary world, and came across a book by Jack Canfield and Pamela Bruner. I read it. And I tapped like a few times a year. Like I did not tap a lot, but I had this really impactful experience where I was tapping for the way I felt about the guy at the dentist office. And after I did that tapping, and it was like 11 minutes tapping on how I really couldn't stand this person and all the different issues that I had with him and how much it cost to go to all the things. And then when I brought my kids to the dentist a few days later, my daughter, who had always had dental anxiety, and I don't even like to give my kids Tylenol or anything like that. And here I am like giving my daughter gas if I had to, if she had like fillings or things like that. And it was a nightmare. And that day we walked in and she was different. And she allowed them to take x-rays and she allowed them to fill a filling. And everyone was shocked at how different she was. And it occurred to me in that moment that 11 minutes of me tapping on how I felt about something could completely change my daughter's physical experience and mental and emotional experience. Like it wasn't just like she did not have that like reaction, right? Like she felt safe at the dentist because my energy changed about the dentist. And so, and then understanding that I took away a belief that paying for 4 kids at the dentist is not safe. And so by addressing that belief, I had changed. It was incredible. So yeah, 11 minutes of tapping, I really was like a one-hit wonder in that sense. And at that point on, I was convinced. I was like,
Yeah.
oh. So
I love that story. I've told that story quite a bit because I think it's such a great story on so many different aspects, on the wonders of tapping and how when we change our own energy, it also can change things for our kids, for other people in our life, because we are all connected.
yes.
And especially to our children. And you know how when you change your own points of view and your own beliefs, it can change a whole experience. It can change things for your kid. You know, I had a similar experience. I was driving with, you know, my son, who had been actually like anxious driving for a while, like was afraid he'd have to go to the bathroom and there wouldn't be a place to go. So it was like a thing. And he was like trying to fall asleep and I sat driving, tapping like for him and that whole issue. And then my issue about my frustration that he was so anxious and we, you know, the whole, how it's all swirling and connected. Yeah. And he was fine. Like he fell asleep, was fine the rest of it was like an hour drive. We get there, he's fine. We drive back and we get all the way home and he's like, I just wasn't anxious anymore on that drive home. And I'm like, I don't know what happened, you know. But, so it's been so cool to see, you know, I think so much we will get the aha moments when we can see how it affects our kids, when we are like, oh, like this actually like changed something. And I often find that people will, you know, always see help for their kids before they will for themselves. But when we have that experience, at least then you can see like, hey, you know, you can change things for you too. And and have that like show up in a million different ways. I mean, I can think of so many different times that I've used it, you know, since then, of course, but I imagine for you too. So it sounds like you had that experience, then you're like, all right, I have to learn this. I have to get like certified. And what made you want to teach other people?
Well, you know, I kind of just always loved doing workshops on this, and actually I started presenting, and I started like giving talks at my Unity Center that I was a member at, and so I was kind of like on 2 tracks. Like one part of me was just really into the EFT, and then this other part of me was thinking like, maybe I want to be a minister, or maybe I want to do something bigger spiritually. But then I realized like I could actually, it was really the components of it that I was really most focused, like really most driven by was, I think that our planet is going through this massive evolution. I think humanity is, and I just kind of wanted to change the frequency, like one person at a time. Like the more people that could understand how to help others to process trauma, and then help their people process trauma. Because once we can process those traumas, it literally changes the way that we look at the world and the way that we vibrate. It changes everything. So I felt like that was just the place where I could have the biggest impact.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, and now you've been doing that for a while. So how
Yeah,
long have you been a trainer?
I became a mentor, I think, before COVID. And then I became a trainer like within like I was officially a trainer, like I want to say the first, like in that 2020 period, like because I was going to do trainings in person, and then that was like nope.
Right.
So I remember like I had to change. I had to pivot. So yeah, so I'd say like around 2020.
That's amazing. And what a good time to start to work on changing the frequency of things.
Right.
So
Well, then it was more obvious. It was like,
right. So I mean that's really incredible. And yeah, I mean it sounds like that has so far been, realized with what you intended.
yeah.
And I know you also do what's called matrix reimprinting. Is that right? And so this is something I am not trained in yet and I'm eager to learn. Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So matrix reimprinting is where, so the matrix is essentially our field. Like it's the field of energy, which now scientists are finally starting to say, oh, looks like there's this quantum field of energy that's
Getting
all
on
around.
board.
Like morphic resonance, all these things that we're scientists are figuring out, and but Carl Dawson put it together a long time ago. And so it's essentially where we're doing the tapping. It's kind of like this beautiful hybrid of tapping with our inner child, but we're doing it in the memory, in the field, and we're changing the belief system that was formed. So, for example, like say you were lost in the grocery store, and we would enter the grocery store and kind of pause everybody and go in and tap on that little kiddo and ask them once they're regulated and out of that freeze response, we'd say like, hey, what did you make this mean? Like, what did you learn about yourself? And you could have 10 kids lost in a grocery store and have 10 different beliefs, right? Like mom doesn't love me, or I'm all alone, or I can't do anything by myself, or I don't know, like who knows all the different beliefs, right? And so we changed the belief and we're like, oh, what would need to happen for you to feel like mom does love you, or you are not, or you can trust yourself, right? Whatever the belief is, we changed the belief. What needs to happen in order to change that, to make it believable and the opposite. And then we do this reimprinting process where we bring that new understanding and image all the way through the body down to a cellular level, and then we send it out into the field. And so the beauty of that is once you get comfortable working within the matrix in the field, then one, we call them echoes. It's an energetic consciousness hologram of ourselves. Then the echoes start like lining up, and it's like, oh, you're helping with this issue. Oh, actually, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, like I can see there's all these other memories. And then you can do ancestral work. You can do past lives. You can do, you can work in the womb. You can kind of go anywhere once you're comfortable working within the field, which is awesome. If we're looking at like changing entire belief systems and, structures in our world and all the different things. So
yeah, that's really cool. It's something I'm really excited. I just bought the book actually, but yeah, I'm excited to dive deeper into that because I there's such a value in doing that, and I play a lot with that concept with people of inner child and past lives and clearing through things. But to have the tapping incorporated to like really be able to change the energy of the situation in the quantum field sounds like there we go, like that's how we change things. So I really love that, and I'm excited to hear about it. So and you also teach those courses.
Yeah.
So yes. That's really amazing. Is there In the last little bit, I mean, without, identifying client information, like, do you have like a client story that you're like, oh, this, like, I watched this person go from this, whether it's with just, EFT or with Matrix. Is there anything that stands out that you're like, I had this, really cool experience recently?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my, I mean, there's so many, and yeah, so like I think there's been a handful who their OCD was like so to the level of like hearing voices or not being able to be able to like go out into the world and things like that. And once we identify, and like just not a lot of sessions, like once we can identify the trauma that caused this, and then they're like messaging me like, they're just like living normal lives again. But yeah, sorry, a ton of faces are like popping in my in my awareness. I'm just trying to figure out like who is it okay to talk, like how can I share little bits and pieces. But like, yeah, I mean, I was working with one lady who was publishing her book, and she had past life trauma that from the country that she was in, where it was not okay to talk against the government type of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in her book, it had nothing to do with it, but it sorted like it was really interesting. Like what she wrote about in her book was like, it was a total fiction, but there was a connection, and she was able to publish after. So like, yeah, so like
Wow.
it's just interesting when like, like one of those like I don't know, I've been going in circles over this. Like it's right for a long time, and it's like, okay, let's figure out why.
Yeah.
There's always a reason.
There's always a reason. Well, it's so cool because it's like you get to it then, and people are able to get to it, and then they can go on to create their lives, So she went and published her book, or the people who had OCD were able to like move on and be like have normal lives and not be affected by that anymore. So I'm sure you have hundreds of success stories, but it sounds like it's it almost becomes normal where you're like, yeah, of course they got better, like in a few sessions, where it's cool just to hear all those sort of miraculous stories. So that's amazing. I don't know that I have a whole lot else. Do you have anything that you want to add just about tapping, or if anything on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've seen people using tapping. Like, yeah, I guess the other one that comes to mind that I love to share is with surrogate tapping, and the power that we can do when we tap for another person. And one of my favorite shares is, and I have permission to share on this one, is at the Autumn Energy event in 2017, 18, something like that. The theme was birth and rebirth. And so I was doing a presentation on surrogate tapping. And so I had known a woman who, she was 20 something weeks in her pregnancy, and the doctors were kind of advising towards terminating, and because they were very concerned about her health and the baby's health and all the things. And so she gave me permission to kind of put her picture and her ultrasound picture up on the wall and to do surrogate tapping with this group. So I'm at the Autumn Energy event. I don't know, like 8,500 people are there. And we all did, we first tapped on what we thought that the mom was feeling. And then we tapped on what we thought the baby was feeling. And then we tapped on the doctors and the nurses. And we spent a good 20 minutes tapping on all the different people that were kind of like impacted by this scenario, and really just guessing, right, on what we thought she was feeling. And then the next, that was on, I want to say, a Saturday. And then I reached out to her on Sunday, and then on Tuesday, I think is what it was, the doctors had changed their mind, and they were like, actually, maybe we could try this, or what about that? And next thing, and then and baby Hope was born she was still born prematurely, and she still had some health things, but I mean, she goes to school, she's alive, she's healthy. I mean, she's within reason, right? I mean, she's living her life. and so and so it's just really wonderful to like like and to see these people who are total strangers that don't know this family,
Yeah.
right? And and yet there was so much love and care and attention put on this family. um
That's amazing. And what a beautiful story. And yeah, I mean, what a cool, amazing thing to acknowledge that like all of you getting together and tapping for her and her baby changed their lives.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously I can't say for sure, but I'm like, I don't know. I mean, most like I want to say it was like in the team, there was like one doctor that was like, "Do we need to?" And the rest of them were like, you know, hair
Yeah.
on fire, freaking out. And then when they had the next meeting, it was like one doctor was still feeling like, oh, and then the rest of the doctors were like, actually, so it was this big shift. And
Yeah.
yeah, and actually some of those people that were there like reached out to the mom and they ended up like it became like a whole thing. It was really beautiful.
Wow. That's so cool. Just like the
Yeah.
power of like the connection of energy and like how, um, yeah, even just people like communing and I don't know, having a like a different level of caring for people and being willing to
Right.
create change with really no point of view, but like just
Mhm.
from a like, let's see what we can create with this.
Yeah.
And what a miracle.
Yeah. Like no agenda, just like whatever's for their highest and best good. And yeah, it all comes back right to that humanity that's evolving and changing and yeah, helping each other. So
That's pretty amazing. I love that story. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing that, Lori. That's
yeah.
wonderful.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, absolutely. Is there um, a way that people can find you if they were
Sure.
looking to either take classes with you or wanted to session with you, or how do people find you?
Yeah, they can just go to my website, Empowerment EFT, and everything is there.
That makes it
And
easy.
yeah, I don't do a ton of social media. So yeah,
Oh, but your website has all the things.
everything. Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
on.
you. Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to have you here and for everything I've learned so far from you and I'm still learning from you. So it's just such an honor.
Oh,
And
wonderful. Thank you.
yeah, wonderful. Well, all right. We'll finish up there, but thank you, thank you. And I'm sure I'll see all of you sometime soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye.